You know what's funny? A man will never sit across from you on a date and say, "By the way, I'm secretly paying attention to this one thing about you." He won't admit it. He probably couldn't even put it into words if you asked, but he's watching. And the crazy part is, it's not your outfit, it's not your makeup, and it's not the clever things you say. It's something far deeper that decides whether he sees you as a moment or as someone unforgettable. When it comes to understanding what a man is really looking for, one of the most overlooked truths is that he is rarely going to tell you directly. Men, for the most part, are not raised or encouraged to communicate their deeper desires openly, especially in relationships. Instead, they tend to show it in more subtle ways. This is why so many women can feel confused when trying to figure out what a man actually wants. He might not be able to articulate it, or he may not even fully understand it himself, but that does not mean he isn't watching, paying attention, and collecting clues. What he notices in you and how he responds to those things reveals more about what he values than any words he could string together. The interesting part is that men often keep these observations quiet. He is not going to sit across the table from you and say, "Here's the list of traits I'm secretly evaluating." Instead, he'll observe how you treat people when you don't think it matters. He'll notice how you react when plans change unexpectedly, or whether you can laugh at yourself when things get a little awkward. These tiny observations give him insight into who you are and how it might feel to be with you long term. He might not consciously think, "Oh, this is important," but on a deeper level, he is storing this information away. That's because his attraction is not just to your appearance or the way you talk. It's tied to the way you make him feel in different situations. A lot of women believe men are simple, that what they want is obvious or surface level, but that assumption can be misleading. Yes, physical attraction matters, and men won't pretend otherwise, but after that initial spark, what keeps him interested is much more subtle. He's watching for emotional cues, for behavioral patterns, and for a sense of consistency. If you're kind to him but dismissive of others, he notices. If you show up with confidence in one moment but constantly undermine yourself in another, he notices. He's never going to bring this up directly because it would feel too vulnerable or even confrontational, but it plays into whether he feels drawn in or held back. The irony is that many men themselves don't consciously realize how much they're paying attention. They think they're just going with the flow, but their brains are doing the work in the background. They're assessing trustworthiness, compatibility, and emotional resonance. If something feels off, they may not be able to put it into words, but they'll feel the shift, and eventually it shows in their behavior. This is why communication between men and women can be so frustrating. Women want to hear it spoken aloud, while men prefer to quietly notice and decide based on those impressions. This doesn't mean you have to play detective or constantly worry about being observed. The point is that men reveal what matters to them by what they consistently respond to. If he lights up when you show genuine curiosity about something he cares about, it's not just about the subject, it's about the feeling of being seen. If he seems calmer and more present when you handle a stressful moment with grace, that's not accidental. He's watching, silently building a picture of who you are in ways he may never verbalize. And while he'll never tell you directly, these moments are often the very foundation on which his long-term attraction is built. The one thing he is really watching for, though he will almost never say it out loud, is how you make him feel when he is around you. This is far more important than how you look, what you do for a living, or even what you say. Men, like women, are deeply influenced by emotion, and attraction is not just about appearances or surface traits. It's about the emotional experience that comes with being near someone. The truth is, he might not even be consciously aware that this is what he is looking for, but every time he is with you, he is evaluating the atmosphere you create together. Does he feel energized, pleased, relaxed, inspired, comfortable, or even understood? These are the questions he asks himself without ever putting them into words. What tends to confuse people is that many women assume men are only visual or only focused on attraction at the physical level. While it's undeniable that physical chemistry plays a role, it fades quickly if it isn't supported by something deeper. A man may initially be drawn to you because of your looks, but what determines whether he wants to stay, invest, and build something meaningful is how he feels in your presence. If he feels criticized, tense, or misunderstood, he may not know how to explain it, but he will slowly withdraw. If, on the other hand, he feels appreciated, respected, and safe, his attachment grows stronger and he begins to value the connection beyond anything else. Think about how people describe falling in love. They rarely say, "I fell in love because of his job," or "I fell in love because of her eye color." What they say is, "I love the way he makes me laugh," or "I feel like I can be myself when I'm with her." That is exactly what he is watching for when he's with you. He wants to know whether being around you feels like a relief from the world or another form of pressure. Without consciously meaning to, he is testing this in every interaction, from the way you respond to his stories to the way you react when he makes a mistake. Each of these moments adds up to a larger picture of what life with you would feel like. It's important to recognize that this isn't about pretending to be someone you're not or walking on eggshells. Men, just like women, can sense authenticity. What makes a man feel drawn to you isn't the performance of being perfect, but the genuine way you share yourself. If you can bring playfulness, warmth, and honesty into the connection, that is what he will remember. It is not that he needs constant positivity. He knows life has ups and downs, but he is looking for someone whose presence doesn't drain him, someone who adds to his sense of peace rather than takes away from it. This explains why sometimes a man might lose interest even when nothing bad happened. You may have been kind, attractive, and interesting, but if he didn't feel emotionally uplifted around you, he will instinctively pull back. On the other hand, a man will often chase after a woman he feels amazing around, even if she doesn't check all the boxes on his so-called ideal list. That's because the feeling she creates overrides everything else. He may not be able to put it into words, but he will know when it's there, and he will know when it's missing. This is the unspoken truth he's always watching for, even if he never admits it. Consistency matters more than many people realize, and it is one of the key things a man is quietly watching for, even though he will never come out and say it. At the start of a relationship, everything feels exciting and new, and both people often put their best selves forward. There are thoughtful messages, genuine interest, and plenty of effort to make the other person feel special. But over time, what really defines the connection is whether the words and actions line up on a consistent basis. A man pays close attention to this, not in an analytical way, but in the subtle way he notices how you show up. When what you say and what you do are aligned, it creates a sense of trust. When there is a gap, even a small one, it creates uncertainty that he will never ignore, even if he doesn't mention it. Men may not always articulate their needs, but they instinctively look for reliability in a partner. They want to know if the kindness and warmth you show in the beginning are a true reflection of who you are, or just part of the early excitement. If you treat him with affection one day, but seem distant the next, he will notice. If you promise to be there and then cancel without explanation, he will remember. It isn't about perfection, because no one is perfect, but about showing that your behavior reflects your words in a stable and predictable way. This consistency gives him something to rely on, and that reliability becomes one of the strongest foundations for trust and attraction. What often happens is that people underestimate the importance of these small patterns. They believe attraction is built purely on chemistry, physical appeal, or shared interests, but consistency is what keeps the connection alive. A man might enjoy the spark, but he won't invest himself fully in someone who feels unpredictable or unreliable. He may not complain about it openly because many men avoid confrontation, but he will begin to distance himself emotionally if he feels he cannot depend on your actions to match your words. On the other hand, when he sees that what you promise is what you deliver, even in the little things, he begins to relax into the relationship. That relaxation deepens his bond with you because it signals safety. It's also important to understand that consistency does not mean being the same in every moment or never having a bad day. What it means is that your core character shows through steadily. If you are supportive, that support doesn't disappear when you're stressed. If you're respectful, that respect doesn't vanish in a disagreement. Men notice when someone remains true to themselves regardless of the situation because it demonstrates emotional maturity. In contrast, if someone's behavior swings drastically depending on mood, circumstance, or convenience, it leaves him questioning what's real and what's temporary. Those questions quietly erode his sense of security, even if the attraction is still there. The interesting part is that men rarely say this directly. He's not going to sit you down and explain that he needs consistent behavior to build trust. Instead, he simply responds to it. He becomes more present, more invested, and more willing to open up when he feels that steadiness. If it's missing, he pulls away, sometimes without even realizing why. Consistency acts almost like an invisible glue in relationships, holding together all the other qualities like attraction, humor, and shared values. Without it, everything else eventually falls apart. With it, the connection feels safe, strong, and worth building on, and that is exactly why he is always watching for it, even if he never tells you. Effort matters far more than perfection, and this is something a man is constantly observing, even if he doesn't talk about it. Many people make the mistake of thinking they need to appear flawless, always saying the right thing, always looking their best, and never making mistakes. But what actually captures a man's attention is the small, genuine efforts that show him he matters. He is not looking for you to be perfect. He is looking for you to care enough to show that he is seen and valued. These little gestures, though they may seem insignificant, are what create the feeling of being chosen, and that feeling is what keeps him deeply invested. It could be something as simple as sending him a text in the middle of the day to wish him luck on a meeting he mentioned, or remembering how he likes his coffee and surprising him with it, or asking about something important to him without him having to bring it up first. These are not grand, dramatic acts, but they show attentiveness. They show that you were paying attention when he spoke, that you listened to the details of his world, and that you cared enough to act on them. For a man, this speaks volumes. He may never put it into words, but deep down, he feels appreciated when you make an effort. It tells him he is not just another person in your life, but someone you genuinely want to connect with. On the other hand, perfection can feel cold and distant. If someone is so concerned with looking flawless or always doing the right thing, it can actually create pressure rather than comfort. Relationships are not built on spotless performances. They are built on real human connection. Men notice when effort comes from a genuine place versus when it's an attempt to impress. He doesn't care if the dinner you tried to cook turned out imperfect. He cares that you wanted to do something thoughtful for him. He doesn't care if your joke wasn't that funny. He cares that you tried to make him laugh. Effort carries an authenticity that perfection can never match, and authenticity is what truly bonds people together. It's also worth remembering that effort creates a sense of balance in a relationship. Many women fear that if they show effort, it will make them appear desperate or overly available. But effort does not mean chasing or overextending yourself. It means contributing in a way that shows mutual care. Men are very aware of whether they are the only ones putting in energy, and when they see you also giving, even in small ways, it reassures them that the connection is not one-sided. That reassurance makes them feel safe to continue investing in you. Without that, he may begin to feel taken for granted, and that feeling is one of the fastest ways to weaken attraction. The beauty of effort is that it creates emotional intimacy. When you show thoughtfulness, he feels understood. When you show consistency in your gestures, he feels secure. And when you do something unexpected just to make him smile, he feels special. All of these feelings come together to make him want to be closer to you. He may not voice it, he may not say, "I love how you try," but his actions will reveal it. He will prioritize you, he will make more time for you, and he will open himself up more. This is because your effort tells him he is worth it, and that is one of the most powerful messages you can send without ever saying a word. Emotional safety is one of the most magnetic qualities you can bring into a connection, and while a man may never directly say he is looking for it, he is always watching for it. Attraction might start with appearance or chemistry, but what determines whether he stays, opens up, and truly invests is whether he feels emotionally safe with you. Emotional safety is the feeling that he can let his guard down without fear of being judged, mocked, or rejected. It is the comfort of knowing he can share his fears, his dreams, and even his mistakes and still be accepted. Many men are not encouraged to express vulnerability in their everyday lives, so when they find a space where they can, it feels rare and deeply valuable. What makes emotional safety so powerful is that it transforms the relationship from surface-level fun into something meaningful and lasting. A man might enjoy spending time with someone who excites him, but if that person makes him feel criticized, belittled, or like he has to constantly prove himself, the attraction will not last. On the other hand, if he feels that being with you allows him to breathe easier, that he doesn't need to perform or impress, then he begins to associate you with peace. That sense of peace becomes addictive. It makes him want to be around you more, to share more, and to invest more, because you are not just a partner, you are a refuge. Men often test emotional safety in subtle ways. He may share a small vulnerability, like a story about a failure or something that embarrassed him, just to see how you react. If you dismiss it, laugh at it in a way that feels belittling, or change the subject, he notices. He may never bring it up again, but a part of him will close off. However, if you listen, if you show empathy, if you treat that vulnerability with care, he will feel encouraged to share more. Each time you respond with understanding, you are building a foundation of trust. That trust is what eventually allows him to reveal the parts of himself that he hides from the rest of the world. This doesn't mean that emotional safety requires constant agreement or endless positivity. In fact, disagreements are inevitable and honesty is necessary. Emotional safety is not about avoiding conflict, but about handling conflict with respect. A man feels safe when he knows that even if you are upset, you will not weaponize his vulnerabilities against him. He feels safe when you can disagree without disrespect. He feels safe when your words in anger do not undo the love and care you show in calm moments. That stability assures him that the bond between you is strong enough to withstand challenges, which makes him feel more secure in committing himself. The irony is that men rarely admit that this is what they're looking for. They may say they want someone fun, attractive, or supportive, but beneath all of that, what they crave is the ability to drop the mask they wear in the world. Most men spend their lives pretending to be strong, in control, and unbothered, even even when they are not. When they find someone who allows them to be human, flawed, and imperfect without fear of judgment, it feels like freedom. That freedom is what keeps them coming back, not because they can't find attraction elsewhere, but because they can't easily find emotional safety. It is invisible to the eye, but unforgettable to the heart, and that is why he is always watching for it, even though he will never tell you. Confidence is one of the most irresistible qualities a person can have, and while a man may never openly admit it, he is always paying attention to how much you value yourself. He is not necessarily looking for someone who never feels insecure or who always has everything together, but he is drawn to someone who carries herself with a sense of self-worth. This is because confidence sets the standard for how he treats you. If you value yourself first, he instinctively understands that he must value you too. If you dismiss yourself, put yourself down, or tolerate behavior that disrespects you, he notices that as well, and it changes the way he engages with you. Even if he is not consciously aware of it, he is responding to the cues you give about your own worth. Men are deeply influenced by the energy of the person they are with. When you show confidence, it communicates that you know who you are and that you do not need external validation to feel complete. This doesn't mean arrogance, which can push people away, but rather the quiet assurance that you have your own life, your own passions, and your own standards. A man finds that attractive because it makes the connection feel like a choice rather than a dependency. He doesn't feel the weight of having to constantly prop up your self-esteem, and instead he feels inspired by the way you stand in your own strength. This creates a dynamic where he wants to rise to your level rather than pull away. Confidence also has a way of making interactions more relaxed and enjoyable. When you are secure in yourself, you don't overanalyze every detail of what he says or does. You can laugh at yourself, let go of small mistakes, and stay present in the moment. That ease makes him feel comfortable around you. Men may not articulate it, but they are drawn to people who make them feel good in their presence, and nothing makes someone feel better than being with a person who is comfortable in their own skin. In contrast, insecurity often shows up as constant questioning, jealousy, or needing reassurance, which creates pressure over time. While everyone feels insecure sometimes, the ability to navigate those feelings with grace is what demonstrates true confidence. Another reason confidence is so compelling is that it creates boundaries. A confident person knows what they will and will not accept, and men respect that. Even if he doesn't say it, he pays attention to how you handle situations where your boundaries are tested. Do you allow him to get away with disrespectful behavior, or do you calmly make it clear that your standards matter? The way you respond in those moments teaches him how to treat you. Confidence tells him that you are not afraid to walk away if your worth is not recognized, and paradoxically, that makes him more likely to cherish and respect you. He knows he cannot take you for granted, and that awareness keeps him invested. What's fascinating is that confidence also amplifies attraction in ways that go beyond appearance. Someone who might not fit society's narrow definition of perfect can still be captivating if they carry themselves with self-assurance. A smile, eye contact, or even the way you carry yourself into a room speaks louder than any physical detail. Confidence radiates, and people feel it before they even consciously register it. A man might not know why he is drawn to you, but it's because your presence communicates strength and value without you having to say a word. He may never tell you that this is what he is looking for, but his actions will show it, because confidence is the unspoken quality that makes him want to stay, invest, and rise to meet you. When you step back and look at all of this together, it becomes clear that what a man is truly searching for is not what he'll ever say outright. He may talk about attraction, fun, or shared interests, but deep down he is watching for how you make him feel, whether your actions line up with your words, if you show effort without needing to be perfect, if you create a space of emotional safety, and whether you carry yourself with confidence that sets the tone for how he treats you. These are the quiet tests he never verbalizes, but they shape the way he invests in you. The beauty is that you don't need to perform, pretend, or chase after perfection. What draws him in and keeps him there is your authenticity, your consistency, and your ability to value yourself first. He'll never tell you he's watching for these things, but when you embody them, you won't need him to say it. You'll see it in the way he shows up for you.